Hello, everyone. We're just going to give people a minute to quick pop in and then we'll get started. Alrighty, it is 12:02, so we're just going to go ahead and get started so that we're able to get through all of our awesome content for you guys today. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to our very first Tech Talks webinar, where Tech stands for Teach, Engage, Consult, and Huddle. We're really focusing on topics that our admins like to talk with other admins about. And today we are talking about managing duplicate data and have our partners from Apsona with us. I am Caitlin McLean. I am the Director of Marketing with Redpath Consulting Group. And before we dive in, I'm going to be kicking off today with a few intros. So first, who is Redpath Consulting Group? We are a Salesforce solutions and strategic support partner focusing on the nonprofit and education sectors. We have been a Salesforce partner since 2009, and in that time, we have done work for over 400 organizations and have completed over 1,000 projects. I mentioned that we specialize in nonprofit and education, and specifically within those two sectors, we focus on foundations, human services, and public media in the nonprofit sector, and we focus on tech transfer and research institutions, recruiting and admissions, and advancement within the education sectors. When it comes to Salesforce expertise, our consultants really do bring a lot to the table. Most notably, we do have our expert status in the nonprofit cloud and a combined total of over 150 years of experience. When we work with our clients, we make sure that we are ensuring their success by providing in-house, experienced, and passionate individuals. And you can see that reflected in our 5 out of 5 customer satisfaction score. So next, I am going to turn it over to Rob O'Brien to go over Apsona.
Well, hi, everyone, and thank you both, Caitlin and Stephanie, for having us here today. Apsona is known as the Golden App, and we have been on the App Exchange since 2011. We have over 1,700 customers with over 10,000 users. We have 250 App Exchange reviews that are very positive, and our product can work with any data model. So whether it's Sales Service Cloud, NPSP, EDA, or AFQ, we are there to support you in your day-to-day Salesforce admin super user needs.
So now I'd like to introduce our 2 speakers for today. So you just heard Rob speak. She is Rob O'Brien, Sales Associate with Apsona. She has 7 years in the nonprofit and for-profit industries and is 2-time Salesforce certified. Additionally, we have Stephanie King. She is from Redpath Consulting Group and is a senior Salesforce consultant. She has over 11 years in the nonprofit industry and is a 7-time certified Salesforce admin. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Stephanie to get into today's agenda.
You're muted, Stephanie.
I am. Thank you. I'm going to move my cursor because I think I unmuted myself and then tapped it back on. Take it from the top. Hello, I am Stephanie King from Redpath Consulting Group, and I'm happy to be here today to talk about my favorite app, Apsona. As Caitlin mentioned, I've been doing Salesforce consulting for 11 years, but what she didn't mention is that I should probably also call myself an Apsona consultant because I pretty much insist that all my Salesforce clients get Apsona when they work with me. Selfishly, Apsona makes my life so much easier, but the truth is that it is always an easy sell because I can truly do so much more valuable work for my clients in so much less time using Apsona. Today, we're talking about using Apsona to address the most common dirty data issue, which is duplicates. This is a problem that almost every org has to deal with at some point. So we're going to highlight how Apsona's single table dedupe tool can help and how Redpath is helping our clients get the most out of this tool. Finally, attendees of this webinar today get access to a free dedupe action sample pack from Redpath so that you can get up and running with Apsona deduping in your org. So as I mentioned, duplicate contacts and accounts is one of the most common, maybe the most common dirty data struggle in Salesforce orgs. If you're here today, you know that on some level personally, probably, but you are not alone by any means. Many people, Salesforce users, encounter this issue, and they first try to use Salesforce's standard matching and duplicate tools to solve the problem. But the bottom line is that these native tools are good for certain limited things. They are good for preventing one-off duplicates that are created by end users, for example. That's the main thing they're good at. They're not particularly helpful for things beyond that, like cleaning up pre-existing duplicate messes or widespread duplicates, or super importantly, they're not that great at dealing with the many different ways that data comes into your system. In many orgs, data entry isn't just end users entering records one at a time. You might have imports or connected forms or other system integrations. And all of these can cause duplicates despite our best efforts as we set up integrations and go through those processes. I want to pause on that point of integration to impart what I think should be considered a Salesforce best practice, but often does not get mentioned at the right point in time, which is this. If you have integrations with outside data, you need a third-party duplicate management tool like Apsona. So by integrations, of course, I'm talking about any outside system that is integrated with Salesforce, but I want us to keep in mind that this concept also includes things like forms or registrations, donations or sales platforms that flow into Salesforce, email platform integration, even list uploads that are done using Apsona or Data Loader or any other data tool. These are all integrations of a kind. If you do data uploads or have any system integrations with Salesforce and you haven't included a duplicate management tool and a strategy in that conversation, this today is your invitation to get on the best practice bandwagon and make sure your data is as clean and as accurate as you need it to be. If you have an integration like this, or are considering one, and you don't have duplicate management in place, well, especially if you have one and you don't have duplicate management in place, it is highly likely, I've seen this time and again, it's very likely that you don't even know the extent of the problems that you might have. I have recently worked with multiple clients who discovered that after years of systems integrations, they had duplicates numbering in the tens of thousands. And the only thing worse than having 10,000 duplicates is having 10,000 duplicates and not getting it fixed. So now you're sold on the notion, maybe, or at least thoughtfully considering your need for a duplicate management tool. But let's move forward and talk about this with our eyes wide open. Deciding to buy a license for Apsona's dedupe tool is an easy choice, I think, but it is just the first step. Before it can help you find and fix your dirty data, it is up to you to build sets of filters to find the duplicates. This can be both time-consuming and challenging for new users. Furthermore, if you are a nonprofit using NPSP, you can't use any standard contact merge tool. This includes direct contact merging in Apsona. This includes using Salesforce's standard contact merge or the Lightning merge component on contact page layouts. This includes other popular industry tools like Cloudingo, Demand Tools, etc. Using any of these standard tools for direct contact merging in an NPSP org can result in hundreds or thousands of empty anonymous households, which is gross and annoying. But worse than that, it can also result in orphaned opportunity records, by which I mean opportunities or donations that are not connected to a donor anymore. It's a disaster, okay? It can also result in disconnected case records. So if you think merging has been going on in your org, doing direct contact merging, using standard Salesforce merge or Apsona or anything like that, this is another one of those problems that kind of sneak by for a while, or you might be aware of it on a low level, and it might turn out to be a really significant issue if you don't get ahead of what's happening. So in an NPSP org, the only safe out-of-the-box way to merge contacts is using the NPSP contact merge tab. That's why it exists in NPSP, because it has this limitation around merging contacts. They created this NPSP contact merge tab. So on the bright side, the NPSP contact merge tab is safe. It does not mess up your opportunity records or anything else crazy. It's very good. But it is very limited in how much it can help with large or ongoing data cleanup issues. So if you have a big mess, or you have a large ongoing data quality integration, as we talked about, that you need to manage, that NPSP contact merge tab might be really limited in what it can do for you. So that's all the bad news. The good news is that Redpath, having helped so many clients with duplicate data, have come up with some ways to address these issues. First of all, the issue of the time that it takes to set up filters and start deduping. For our clients, we are able to install a pack of 40 different duplicate actions. I've been calling it filters. I tend to use that sort of colloquially. In Apsona, they're called duplicate actions that use filters to help find your duplicates. So we have a pack of 40 different duplicate actions that can be just added to any new instance of the Apsona dedupe tool, so that orgs getting started can save hours of time that would otherwise be spent on setup and learning, and instead get straight to the heart of sorting out your duplicate issues. Second of all, we figured out how we can work within the framework of nonprofit NPSP orgs so that nonprofits can do mass merges on contacts safely. NPSP orgs, this is for you. There is a way that you can do mass merge and manage contact duplicates without always having to do them one by one in the contact merge tab. So this is for you. As I mentioned, webinar attendees are going to get a sample pack of 6 dedupe actions from Redpath, so that you can experience some of the benefits of getting up and running with a set of pre-built dedupe actions. And I'm also going to demonstrate the strategy that I just mentioned for how nonprofits can use this tool to do mass deduping safely. So with that, I'm going to get into a live demo showing you how this sample pack of dedupe actions works in a demo org. Before I do, are there any comments from Rob or questions that I should speak to before we do that?
I haven't seen any. Yeah.
Haven't seen any. Oh, no,
I
no
thought
questions.
you meant in the chat. Oh, no, I don't have any questions. I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
No, you were perfect. Thank you. Great. Okay, are we now seeing my demo org?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So here we are in a demo org, just a basic counts, contacts, opportunities org, and I have loaded this with some sample data that is a little bit suspiciously duplicative in certain ways, so that we can see how Apsona looks at these things. I've added Apsona to my tab, so this is what Apsona looks like in your org. It is not a tool that sits outside Salesforce on your desktop or in a different cloud location. It is nicely housed right inside your Salesforce, which is one thing that I like about it. And I'm going to jump right into seeing where the dedupe actions show up when you have an Apsona dedupe license. I've landed right here on the contacts tab, which is where I am going to start our demo. So under contacts, I look at tools, and I have this dedupe and match tool. So I click right on that. And here I can see 4 of the sample actions that come in this sample pack that attendees get their hands on. 4 sample actions on the contact tab and 2 more on the account tab. So we'll look at most of those here in this demo. The one I want to start off just to get us started is this one called matching name, the canary. I don't know if this this sort of saying is common to everybody, but I use this filter as what I call the canary in the coal mine. We're going to look a little bit closer at how these filters work when I get to the next one. This one is so simple that I'm not even going to bother. This one is just looking at contacts in this org and looking at those that have a matching first and last name. That's it. So it's not very sophisticated. Some of the results are going to be misleading. For example, here in Minnesota, if I see a duplicate Eric Anderson, there might be 12 Eric Andersons in a given org, and they're probably 12 different guys. So it's not something that we can necessarily look at and say, let's merge away, right? But as you look down and we see there's a lot of fairly unique names in here. And as I look across, I can see other duplicate data so that in fact, this duplicate name thing is finding some very likely duplicates throughout this org, right? And this canary in the coal mine is showing me that just based on name matching alone, there are 42 pairs of possible duplicates. The reason I like to have this canary in the coal mine, is because when we get into different dedupe actions, we're going to start narrowing the filter to see some really tight groups of duplicates, such as those that have matching name and address, or matching name and email or phone number, etc. Different clues that that start to very tightly tell us that these people really are duplicates that we need to get merged. But when we look at those narrower filters, we don't necessarily understand the full big picture of how big of a duplicate problem do we have. So when you get this filter pack and you install it in your org, I was going to start with installing the filter pack. I will circle back to that. Sorry. When you install this filter pack in your org with Apsona Dedupe, run this canary and kind of get that first little taste and sense of how big of a problem are we dealing with here. In this org where I only loaded about 500 sample contacts, it looks like we have nearly 10% sort of suspected duplicates. So you'll have a sense of what that means in your org when you run that canary in the coal mine action. Before I go any further, let me show you really quickly how we would add these to your org, because you might have come just to get this free filter pack. And so you're going to want to know how to use it. And that is where I meant to start here. So what you're going to get from, I think, Caitlin, attendees of this webinar will get an email, I think, as a follow-up from Caitlin that will include this DAT file. I think it will have a cuter name like Redpath Dedupe Actions Sample Pack or something right along those lines, but it will be a DAT file. And it is this one that I am showing you today. So you'll download that DAT file, and in Apsona, you will need to get a trial set up if you don't already have Apsona's Dedupe tool. If you already have it, you can install this filter pack on top of what you already may have. If you are just trying a trial for the first time, you can install it and get up and running and have a really good trial. Either way, this is going to be the same process that you will get into Apsona and go to Apsona items under settings. And then under Apsona items, tools. Nope, I did the wrong thing. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, yep. Import items, here it is. And now I'm going to find that DAT file. Here's my passport. Find that DAT file, upload it, and bada bing, bada boom. Those 6 filters will populate just where I'm showing you here under contacts. So it really is so easy to get up and running with six filters. And then you can come check out your contact canary, which we already did. So I'm going to go on to the next check, which is going to be a name and address check. And here I'm going to pause a little bit and talk a little bit more about how this dedupe action is working. I'm going to pop over here first. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs are all of the settings that sort of set up and control how this action is going to work, okay? I'm going to start here in match fields, because this is where my brain starts when I'm thinking about one of these dedupe actions, is how am I filtering my records to try to find matches? So in this case, I'm looking at contacts who have the same or similar name and the same or similar address. So I've been able to choose from, this is really kind of a sophisticated thing over here, but we won't spend too much time on it, but just suffice to say, you can really do some sophisticated looking at your records depending on the unique case of your org, but this filter and on all of these that come in the sample pack are kind of fairly all-purpose. So so here we're looking at contacts who have the same first name, and notice here that under this match function, it's not just looking at people that have the exact same first name, but there's kind of these algorithms that have special ways of looking at special data. So first names have a special match, and it's going to do an awfully good job of finding potential matches where it's Rob and Robert, or Elizabeth and Betty, and all of these kind of common or even slight misspellings or different spellings of the same name are going to show up really well under a first name match. For the last name matches here, I'm looking for exact last names, but applying some fuzzy logic. So it's gonna accommodate some things like misspellings and things like that in a last name. And on the contact street address here, I'm using a street address relax. There's two different address functions that you can experiment with on your own and get different results. They're all useful. But in this case, the street address relaxed is going to find anything that looks like a matching street address, and it's going to really do a good job of overlooking things like 123 3rd Ave S versus 123 3rd Avenue South. You know how addresses can be so slippery like that, or they have a period, or they don't have a period, or it has a suite number, or it doesn't have a suite number. If you're trying to do all of your dedupe checking in Excel by doing, matching cells together, Excel, unless you really get into the weeds, it does a pretty poor job of that. And this does a really good job. So we'll see that in our dedupe results. So that's kind of where my brain starts. Like, I think, okay, what am I looking for? Contacts here that have a matching name and address. This is where it kind of kicks off, and I say, what records do I want to look at when I'm considering that filter? Well, this filter isn't going to be very useful on records that don't have an address. So that's what I put for my filter here. I say, just show me the ones that have an address and then match on their name and address. And this third section, this is really important. This is where we can pull additional data into our results so that I'm not just looking at names and addresses, but I can additionally see emails, phones, and created dates, which is going to help me make decisions about the results that I see. We'll see that in action in just a moment. Group selection can be used to sort of narrow things down if you get into a little more advanced use of this tool. But the last one that is really important to consider is this master and field rules section. A couple of things that I'll highlight here for our purposes today is, as you're thinking about doing mass merges, that there is this option to make sure that we don't lose data. When we merge records, there's a concept of a master record and a sort of the non-master record. And in cases where they have conflicting data, the master record will win. So that's something we think about as we set this up. But we also want to have the option if the master record has blank data. For example, the master contact has a blank phone number, but that non-master that you're merging in does have a phone number, we want to keep that phone number. And so this checkbox will make sure that where there is data on the non-master record, we slip it up into that master record, which is really nice. And the other nice highlight that I like to highlight here is this combine fields. You have to think through this one, but what this allows us to do is that when we're merging records and they both have data in the same field, we can have the option to keep both by sort of concatenating them together. One sort of universal field where I always think about this is contact description, or the description fields, right? If you have descriptions on two records, you can keep them both in the master record. We don't want to, so you might be thinking, check all the boxes, Stephanie. No, we wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't want, oh, there's all kinds of, yeah, we wouldn't want their first names, we wouldn't want their first name to end up being Bob Robert, for example. So it's not a universal thing, it's something to think through. With that, let's take a look at our results here. And so we can see here from our canary, where we had, I think, 42 potential duplicates based on name matching. Here in this address one, we have less. We've tightened that net, and we're just seeing 25 potential groups where both their address and their name look like they're duplicates. And here we can see some of those kind of algorithmic functions in action, where it's able to see addresses that are similar but not exactly the same and overlook those minor differences, and is also able to overlook those minor differences in name and show me really good duplicate possibilities. Okay, but stop. This is an NPSP org, so as much as I wish I could just merge away, and get all of these duplicate contacts together, I have two good options. One is I could export this list and, print it off or something and go to the NPSP contact merge tab where I am safe to do duplicates. If there truly was only 25 duplicates in this org, I might just do that. That's a really limited number. But I have run this filter in other orgs and seen 10,000 duplicates, and I can't tell someone to go take that list and start merging them one by one in the contact merge tab, right? There has to be a better way. So we are going to go now and look in another spot here of our sample filters. And so I'm going to the accounts tab, tools, dedupe. And here I have two in our sample pack. One is just for merging accounts. I won't spend really any time on this one, but this is for finding your true account duplicate. So I think we'll see here, this would be duplicate businesses, duplicate schools, duplicate anything that you have on your accounts tab like that. So here we have target, and with some filter settings in here, it's again doing a good job of finding these two duplicates, even though the name is a little bit different and the address is a little bit different, it can still show me a good candidate for duplicate account. Okay, but we are going to stay on track, and we're thinking about how are we going to merge these duplicate contacts. And the key is we start the duplicate merging process at the household level. If you're an NPSP org, you are 99% likely to be on the household account model, and which is where this is going to work for you. This duplicate is looking at household accounts that have the same street and I think the same last name. Because if we have two people that have the same last name and the same street, and they're not in the same account, they probably should be. So this is a very interesting filter, and this might start to stretch your brain a little bit. If you've been tracking so far and this starts to feel stretchy, that's okay. This is kind of a big concept. As we look at this list, we see a couple of different interesting things are happening here. Looking at this line, I've got Logan Olvapi and Logan Olvapi at 11291 Wow Circle. That guy's just a duplicate. I've got two contacts. He should just be merged together, right? Okay, so that's one thing that's happening here, but look at the next group down. We've got Olga and Sergio Castillo at the same address, and they're not in the same household, but by golly, I think they should be. This looks like a Mr. and a Mrs. at the same address that should be in the same household account. That's the whole function of the household account model in NPSP, right? Amy and Richard Owen that are not together in a household, but here I've got them with the same last name and the same address. Surely they are a couple, right? And then we're back to the other scenario of duplicates, Albert and Bert. Well, that's the same guy. He has a nickname, Herbert and Herb, with the same address, right? So these are duplicates. So a little bit of a confusing thing is that we have these two different things happening here. One is that we have family members, but they should get into the same household. And the separate thing is that we have duplicate contacts. What we're trying to do with them is trick the NPSP model into making it safe for us to merge those contacts directly. So if you need more explanation on that, I find that really reasonable, but I can't take more time on it now. What I'm going to do is merge these accounts together. So what this merge is doing is putting Logan and Logan into the same household, which is weird because he's a duplicate contact. So hold that thought. It's also putting Olga and Sergio into the same household, which is awesome. Now, when I'm sending a mailing, I'm not going to send them two postcards. I'm going to send them one. That's the intended function of the nonprofit starter pack, right? When Amy and Richard are in the same household, they're not going to get two postcards. So that's awesome. So those two separate good things happened. Well, the one was good. The getting married people together was good. The other one was weird, is that I now have duplicate contacts in the same household. They're all together. With that done, I can now go over to the contacts tab and back to my dedupe and match action. And there's this special action built specifically for this purpose, intra-household dupes mass merge. This is looking for households, matching account, where people have the same first name. The only spot where this one is going to kind of goof up is if you had a lot of seniors and juniors in the same household, like if you have families and it's like Charles Senior and Charles Junior. So you got to watch out a little bit, maybe bring that suffix in as a different column to show. But what we see here is that all of those duplicates, I should have run it before and you would have seen this one was empty. The reason this filter is populated now is because I ran that other merge that got Herbert and Herb. They're now in the same household. Nick and Nicholas are now in the same household, and they have these weird household names. So this is a little disturbing, I know, for just a moment. We've got Herb and Herbert household, Nicholas and Nick household. My brain hurts, right? It's only 9 out of that whole, I don't know what that number was that we merged together on the other tab. It was a bigger number. Because we're not merging together Amy and Richard or Olga and Sergio, right? Like that's not, these are only people with the same first name and the same household. And now I can merge them. I can do a mass merge. I can do this with this group of 9. I could do it with a group of 9,000. We do want to be thoughtful when we're doing mass merges. So this will take a little bit longer in real life, but now I'm merging Herb and Herbert and Nick and Nicholas. And I have solved the problem of the orphaned opportunities. I have solved the problem of the broken cases. We will not get any anonymous households out of this merge process. Some errors occurred. I usually, actually when I do this, let's see, run it again, we might see that some didn't get merged. Yeah, that little error can be avoided often by checking this small batches box. I usually do that in real life. And it takes a little bit longer, but you only have to run it once, usually. Ta-da!
I'm loving this. This is great stuff. We were just on a call the other day where somebody was asking us these questions. So I'm just going to jump in and make a couple of really quick comments about Apsona. So thank you, Stephanie, for such a great demo. It was really cool. I just want to mention that if you have not installed Apsona, when you go to install, you're going to need the base license, which is Apsona for Salesforce, and then also the dedupe and match license. So, and you can install in the sandbox, which is what we highly recommend, and I'm sure Stephanie would concur. I know some people do install in production. Our sandbox trials are free and unlimited, so there is no time limit. If you install in production, it's a 30-day trial. So we highly, highly, highly underscore recommend sandbox.
Yeah. Yeah, something I didn't stop to show too much here was it's not mass merge or nothing with this tool. So when you are looking at your real data, take the time to be very, very thoughtful. Phone a friend, tap your favorite consultant before ever thinking about clicking this merge all button. This button is kind of a big deal. What I like to point out to people is that you can do one at a time merges, and those are really instructive as you're thinking about what a mass merge is going to mean. A mass merge is going to take whatever you've said above and just like do it. But if you do these one at a time merges, you can kind of see what it's going to look like on a case by case basis. And if every single one looks totally right without you needing to, make fixes in this little intermediate screen, then you have a good idea that your mass merge is well set up. But it is something that takes a lot of thought, but it's such a necessary tool as we started out this webinar. And as you probably already know, if you're here, we have to deal with these duplicates and be able to trust our data and understand what it means.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of questions in the chat. So someone said, this is the first I've heard about issues using standard Salesforce merge with NPSP, so I'm glad I attended for that point alone. Is the main problem with contacts, or do the merge limitations in NPSP affect the merge of other objects too? And is there a resource you would recommend on orphans or other things that I need to look for around these merge issues, since we're not aware of it?
Great question. The issue only affects contacts, and it is because of the contact, the household account model and how that works. And it is the reason that NPSP includes that contact merge tab, because it's a known, I don't want to call it a known issue. It's just it's just a part of the nature of how that works, is that we have to have that special contact merge consideration when we have the household account model. So it only affects contacts. You can use standard Salesforce merge functions and the lightning merge component on accounts, sort of Target Corporation and 3M and General Mills. Those duplicates can be merged using account merge without issues. If you're doing merges on other objects, I'm not aware of any other issues in NPSB. It is just a contacts thing. A simple check that you can do is run a report on your contact object and just, on your account object, run an account report and just do a filter of account name includes anonymous or contains anonymous. And if you have one anonymous account that you use for tracking anonymous donations, that's normal. I'm cool with that. If you have 500 or more anonymous households, or really 2 or more, it's probably because someone has been doing contact merging the way that they should not be doing in a contact merge RF. So if you have those numerous anonymous households, then that's a bad sign. The next thing that you should then do if you do see those anonymous households is go to run an opportunities report and put a filter of account equals blank, just leave it blank. So account equals bulk and then run it. And that will show you potentially, it will show you if you have orphaned opportunities. That would be opportunities where someone did a bad contact merge, not knowing the rules of NPSP, and they set an opportunity free on the sea. And I've seen orgs where there was 5 or 6, and I've seen orgs where there was hundreds. And so your next steps will depend on what that number is for you.
I know that we're over a little bit. I just wanted to note, so on the screen right now, there's 3 QR codes. The first one is more information on Redpath Consulting Group, if you would like that. The last 2 are installation links and more information on Apsona for Salesforce and the Apsona Dedupe and Match tool. We did get this question, but just wanted to put it out there as well. All webinar registrants will be receiving this recording, so you can definitely go back and watch it again. You'll also be receiving a demo pack that we talked about, the 6-filter dedupe action demo pack. And in addition, we will be including these links too. So if you wanted the install links for Apsona, those will be available to you as well. Okay, we do have a couple more questions, Stephanie, if you have time to tackle those. Great.
I'm happy to.
What happens to associated records, for example, address or opportunities, when you merge contacts? Does everything get combined?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, well, with that, we are going to go ahead and close out today's webinar. Thank you so much, Rob and Stephanie, for your time and your expertise. I hope this was valuable to everyone. And like I said, resources from this webinar will be out shortly. So thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.